Welcome back to OTR. It's time for the Sunday Roundtable this morning, and joining us this week is Boston Globe columnist Adrian Walker and Republican political analyst Rob Gray. Great to have you with us on this final weekend of September, guys.
You keep on bringing that up.
I know. I'm just, it's a matter of fact.
Okay, so you heard Brianna Wu this morning. Do you think the outcome this time around could be any different? Adrian, let's start with you.
I think it's going to be tough. Of all the districts in Massachusetts, this is the one that was drawn for one specific person, Steve Lynch. And beating him is not going to be easy.
Rob, is he right?
Well, she lost by more than 45 points in 2018, so that is a big gap to overcome. I think a lot of what happens in this race will depend on the Senate primary between Markey and Kennedy. Does that spike turnout? If it spikes turnout, maybe she has more of a chance. If it's a traditional low turnout primary, Lynch will win.
But let me ask you both, just generationally, with Ayanna Pressley's win over Mike Capuano, is there a generational shift in newer people, newer faces, new blood that's welcomed into politics?
I think people are looking for newer faces, and that gives her some chance, yes.
And she said that there are 19,000 more Democrats and independents that have registered just since last year. I haven't personally checked that.
I mean, on paper, you can make the case, right? But then you have to run a campaign, you have to get Lynch engaged, you have to raise a lot of money, spend a lot of money on advertising. There's a big difference between the scenario works on paper and in the real world.
I want to talk about the U.S. Senate race now. Joe Kennedy, of course, blanketing the state since his announcement and first sit-down interview here on OTR. Did it last week with us in Washington. And Markey wasted no time in calling for a debate on climate change. Kennedy unlikely to accept a debate that doesn't include all issues. Adrian, who wins or who loses the political points here? What do you think?
I don't think there's any reason for Joe Kennedy to accept a one-issue debate, and I don't think voters care about it very much.
Not at all? You don't think so?
No.
Yeah, Rob, what do you think?
I agree with Adrian, but Markey's challenge makes sense, right? It makes sense, he makes the point, but it's kind of like swinging a feather, and then Joe Kennedy with his own challenge replies by swinging a club at Markey, which really puts him in a bind on the People's Pledge and a campaign finance limitation that could hurt Markey's ability to have outside groups come in. So I think Kennedy won the back and forth.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Shannon Liss Reardon, also running for Markey's seat, quickly chimed in. She labeled Joe Kennedy's refusal to take PAC money in this race as, quote, gamesmanship, since he already accepted nearly $3 million in the past. Will any voters hear this, and could it hurt the brand that Kennedy is now trying to sell, Rob?
No, because maybe it's gamesmanship, but it's smart gamesmanship. He trumped that PAC issue, if you want to call it an issue, by challenging Markey to accept campaign fundraising limits in the People's Pledge. Markey was a champion of that when he ran in the special election. Elizabeth Warren and Scott Brown did it. Now Markey is running from it because he thinks it puts him at a competitive disadvantage. Kennedy's on the attack on that and makes Markey look bad.
Just for the record, that trumped is small t, right? Not big T. I just want to be clear, right?
Could this PAC money issue become a problem for either side?
No, I mean, I think Rob's exactly right. She is right that it is gamesmanship, but I don't think anybody's going to care that he used to take PAC money.
I want to shift the conversation now to Congressman Richie Neal. He was the last to climb on board the impeachment train. Adrian, right off the bat, right strategy, wrong strategy, whatever strategy, what is your opinion of the strategy?
Probably wrong strategy. I think he got there slower than he could have.
But Speaker Pelosi gave him one of the 6 biggest platforms in the coming year. He will chair one of the committees. Is there any downside for him re-election-wise?
In being slow?
In being slow on the impeachment train?
Given that he's running against a progressive, I think it's marginally damaging.
Marginally?
But the fact that he's going to be on the hot seat, do you think that'll help him?
Yeah, absolutely. Being front and center on impeachment.
Well, I mean, we'll see. It's a high platform, right? He'll get a lot of attention if he's involved in chairing one of these hearings or many of these hearings. We'll see. But when you're on a high platform, when you step off, it's a long way down. Or if you screw up, it's a long way down.
And Alex Morse is going to be watching very, very carefully.
Sure.
But the fact that he's going to have a high-profile role in impeachment will dwarf how quickly he got there.
Right, and also the district that he represents. Big move by Governor Baker this week. He imposed a 4-month ban on the sale of all vaping products. This may be the hottest topic this week. Will there be political fallout, or was this a smart move? Let's start with you, Rob.
I think it was an extremely savvy move. It puts Baker in the forefront nationally on this emerging public health issue. I think other governors are bound to follow.
But a lot of smokers are upset about this, no?
Well, I think
could that hurt them?
Certainly some of the smoke shops are upset about it.
Right.
It puts a big cramp in their business. But I think people are concerned. I think that the public is on Baker's side.
And also, he did do it for only 4 months so they could sort of regroup. Was that a smart move as well?
Yeah, I mean, the big unanswered question here is what happens in 4 months, right? What happens in January? I think it was a good move, but Minnie's going to have to figure out the long-term strategy.
And there's another step in this. There's another major actor in this stage is former Attorney General Martha Coakley, who's now working for Juul as the company restructures its leadership, pulls out its advertising, faces countless lawsuits and dwindling sales. Adrian, did she make a mistake?
Clearly. Clearly, Juul is not the place to be working right now.
Juul is not a Juul. Is that what you're saying?
Juul is not a Juul.
Rob, what do you think?
I mean, all you have to know is she hasn't been out front or even anywhere on this issue. We haven't seen her, and I think if you're hiding out, you're not winning.
Very, very good observation, because I had the same reaction during the week. I thought, where is the profile? Where's the face? Where's the presence?
She has been hired as a legal attorney,
understand.
though,
Yeah.
and rarely do we
But
ever
by
see.
the time she went there, it was clear that Juul was becoming a problem.
But even not even her name on a statement, not necessarily going out and giving interviews, but
Right.
Presumably they hired
For her
an
behind the scenes.
anti-tobacco attorney general, former attorney general, to get that kind of brand out there to push that vaping is okay, and her not being out there makes people think vaping is not okay.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.